One back to you into today's video. I'm going to have a look at weather the next 8 to 10 days. In today's video, it takes up to around the 8th of June, so going into the end, end of the first week of the month. It looks like we're going to be trying to turn it warmer next week with high pressure building in. Quite how this comes off and how long it lasts, there's a bit of uncertainty about it. But I think for a few days later next week, we should see the weather warming up. And the GEM is going really warm this morning, albeit it quickly turns thundery and breaks down. But if you like thunderstorms, you want to be rooting for the GEM because that's a proper plume and then thundery breakdown scenario, but it's a bit isolated. We'll have a look at the charts in a moment though. Before we get on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles on all of the pages at GazOffice.com. Have a browse through the widgets, and if there's any articles that you're interested in, please click through. You'll be able to go off and read the article. And thanks very much for doing that. So just starting off with the GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. Dealing with the temperatures first of all. The red line is the 30-year temperature average, and we can see that at the moment we're below average, as have been through much of May. It's been a fairly cool month. Really, those central temperatures not going to deviate too far from the average, but yeah, it's a cool period at the moment, and it has been for most of May. But as you go through into June, we do see a change. So this is the 1st of June. You see dates are down on the bottom of this chart, and you can see that very quickly through the first week of June, the GFS temperature ensembles are still pushing up, albeit with a little bit of scatter, and there's still one or two members of the ensemble that do keep it reasonably cool, reasonably near the red line, which is the 30-year temperature average. But overall, it is a warming trend over the next week, and as we get through to next week, we should be seeing those temperatures reaching summer-like levels, at least into the mid-20s, I would suspect, from this, around 25, 26, upper 70s to around the 80 Fahrenheit mark. Couldn't be ruled out. Now, as we get through to the second half of the ensemble, notice there is a huge amount of scatter coming in there. So that takes through into the second week of June, and by that time, as I say, there's a lot of scatter there. There's something like, I was trying to work it out, there's something like a 20 to 25 degree temperature difference there between the very warmest members and the very coolest members. Of course, the very warmest members and the very coolest members are outliers, so they're not to be relied upon by any means. But when you've got so much scatter, of course, it's hard to sort of decipher what is an outlier and what is sort of the what's the mean trend of the model. So I think we'll leave the second week of June alone with this, and there is the caveat there that this warm-up could be really quite short-lived, and it could quickly start to cool down again as we go through to the second week of the month. So let's leave that alone. The precipitation spikes show that with this cool weather coming up over the next few days to the start of June, we have got rainfall coming through once again. Then it turns drier as we go through the second half of the first week of the month. See what I mean? Lots of dry weather there as that high pressure builds in. And then associated with all this scatter into the second week of June, we find the precipitation spikes coming back. So not only could it turn cooler in the second week of June, it could turn significantly more unsettled and wetter once again. As I say, very, very uncertain what's happening as we get through to the second week of the month. Now, the temperature anomaly for the coming week, this goes from the 28th of May to the 5th of June, is still showing cooler than average in those blue colours. I would expect this to very quickly now start going towards red. So as we get the next couple of days out of the way, certainly by the time we get to the weekend, we should be seeing these charts going to red, going to temperature anomalies above average. So you can find the link to these charts on the links page. If you look at these on Saturday or Sunday, I reckon where we've got these blue colours here, will be showing red colours by the time we get through to the weekend, with temperatures going above average through that first week of June. The rainfall anomaly for the coming week, 28th May to 5th of June, showed that it's going to be a bit drier than average down in the south, wetter than average up in the north. Still the same pattern that we have through May, bringing the jet stream more or less through the country. High pressure sitting away to the southwest, keeping southern counties dryish, not completely dry, but driest down there, with the wettest weather in the northwest. Again, this should turn drier as we get to the weekend. The red colour should start to spread across the country, indicating that the anomaly, precipitation anomaly, rainfall anomaly, is becoming drier. So we start next week, and it looks very uninspiring, really, for the first couple of days of June. This is the chart for Tuesday, the 2nd of June, and that low pressure really is dominating. It's unusually deep area of low pressure as well for time of year at 985 millibars. So it'll be a wet and windy start to next week, and very cool temperatures as well. You'll be wondering where on earth all these ideas about summer warm-ups are coming from. But as we get through towards middle of the week, that's when the Azores high, which is very often the feature that gives us our warm weather through the summer, the Azores high starts to inflate, ridges into France, and begins to push up warmer air from the southwest as these low pressures, along with the jet stream, which is indicated by the black line here, starts to get shoved off up to the north, and that takes into the second half next week. This is Thursday the 4th of June, and the high pressure is dominating then across the north of France. You notice from the red colours that the temperatures are coming up. The colours here on these charts, by the way, are partly indicating temperature and partly indicating pressure, so they don't always give you a good idea really about what the temperature is doing, because there's also pressure involved. Anyway, I digress. High pressure is going to be taking over through the second half of next week. Jet stream increasingly getting pushed northwards with those areas of low pressure. So by the time you get through to the end of next week, Friday the 5th of June, that high pressure is in there more or less over the top of the country, giving us no doubt significantly drier and warmer conditions, and those conditions go out to day 10, which is set of 7th of June. High pressure again is over the country. It's repositioned a little bit, so it's actually centred very slightly to the north, and we could be already start to bring down some cooler air around the edge of this high pressure. Notice this trough digging in over Scandinavia. That's bringing cool air down into the northeast of Europe, and that cool air could be starting to run around this area of high pressure, particularly in the south, of course, where we've got these easterly winds blowing, and they do look like they could be quite strong. Now, the upper air temperatures will show this warm up quite nicely, so we start off very cool at the beginning of next week. Then the temperatures start to push up through the middle part of the week, get through towards the end of the week, and we see the 10 Celsius isotherm is moving up across England and Wales. That's sort of the minimum for summer warmth. When you get to 10 Celsius at 850 HPA, you're talking about temperatures possibly reaching 24, 25 degrees if there's good sunny spells. So that's sort of very warm temperature type conditions. But yet the 15 Celsius 850 HPA air moving up, then it does turn significantly warmer. Day 10 shows that we've still got the 10 Celsius isotherm there down in the south, but notice the air is cooling around this area of high pressure from the north and the northeast. So it probably doesn't warm up that much really for northern parts of the country, Scotland, Northern Ireland, Northern England. I don't think the temperatures really do warm up before that cooler air starts to dig back in. In the south, it could get up towards the mid-20s for a day or two around Friday, Saturday, possibly into Sunday on this scenario. The ECMWF shows that very unsettled weather in across the country at the start of next week. The low pressure clears away. The high pressure ridges up from the Azores. So all in agreement through the early and middle part of next week, with high pressure taking over from the Azores. Then that high pressure keeps the south mainly dry and settled to the end of next week, but low pressure is still close to the northwest of Scotland, possibly keeping it more unsettled there. We end up on day 10, so the 7th of June. High pressure is dominating, but again its position is perhaps a little bit to the north and the northwest of the country, so cooler air again could be filtering around the edge of that high pressure, particularly down across England and Wales, where we've got a northeasterly flow. So the GFS and the ECMWF do not really show any signs of a major warm spell. It does turn warmer as we get through to the end of next week, with temperatures possibly creeping up to the mid-20s, but nothing significantly hot showing up on these charts. And that warm-up probably only lasts a few days when it turns cooler again from north to northeast. But the GEM, which is always a bit different, it's not as good as the other two, but the GEM is showing a significant hot spell, albeit very briefly. So we start off early next week still with the idea of low pressure and cool weather around the country, showers, longer spells of rain, below average temperatures. Then the Azores high takes over from the south. What happens with this one is that the flow goes more southerly. So by the end of the week, the high pressure, instead of being centred somewhere around southern England or northern France, is actually centred over Germany. And the upshot of that is to start pushing up these southerly winds. And look at the upper air temperatures that are coming up those southerly winds. So the 10 Celsius isotherm is pushing across most parts of the country. The 15 Celsius isotherm is in there across England and Wales. That would be lifting temperatures. If it came off, it would be lifting temperatures at least around 27 degrees, that's 81 Fahrenheit, possibly even a little bit more than that actually. So talking about 80s Fahrenheit weather with the GEM as we go through the end of next week. But it really doesn't last very long at all. And as we go through to Saturday, a thundery low is moving in. That's a classic scenario for a thundery breakdown. If you like thunderstorms, that's what you want to see. The heat pushing up from the south, and then the low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, breaking down the heat and triggering thunderstorms as it does so. So there's the temperature gradient for Saturday, the 6th of May. 15 Celsius isotherm is across eastern England, but the 0 Celsius isotherm, which is sort of autumnal type air, that's across Science. Huge temperature differential across the country, and that would be a fantastic trigger for violent thunderstorms. By the time you get through to day 10, 7th, a thundery low is over the country, introducing that cooler weather as the hot air is sort of shoved away into central parts of Europe. So the potential is there, and we see it on the ensembles as well, with some of these warmer members of the ensemble. The potential is there for a significant increase in the temperature at the end of next week, possibly thunderstorms as well. I don't think it will last too long, that increase in temperature, before it breaks down into thunderstorms. The potential is there, but the GFS and the ECM are not showing it with conviction. They're not showing it on their operation runs. Until they do so, we have to be very cautious about a significant increase in the temperatures. If I just have a very quick look at CFS V2 for the coming month, we'll have a more in-depth look at this tomorrow. Just want to leave you with 500 millibar height anomalies though, but it's shown for the coming month. So we start off with the first week. It goes from the 27th of May through to the 2nd of June, with low pressure up to the north and high pressure down to the southwest. And we know that means we're bringing the jet stream through the country, and it's most unsettled in the north, driest in the south. We go through to the second week period. This goes from the 3rd to the 9th of June, and this is the period where the high pressure is taking over. And look at this, the red colours right there across northern and western Europe. So high pressure dominating, the jet stream and the low pressure getting pushed off up to the north. So that's a settling down and warming up period through that first week of June. The CFS is seeing this along with the operational models. Then we go through to the week to the 10th to the 16th of June, and look what's happening. The high pressure is getting squeezed up to the north. It's going up towards Iceland and possibly Greenland as well. And low pressure is hinted to be developing around its southern side. So I think this is a breaking down period really. The low pressure would be starting to attack probably from the Atlantic and also maybe from Spain as well. So sort of the thundery breakdown is, I think, being hinted at there as we go through into that second week of June. And then we go through to the third week of June, and I think this is more unsettled. We've got the high pressure going off towards eastern parts of Europe. There's high pressure being hinted at to be somewhere around Greenland and Iceland. We haven't got green colours over the country, but I think there's be a trough there in the 500 millibar flow with the jet stream going like that. So that probably turns significantly cooler and significantly wetter as we go through towards the third week of June on that sort of situation. It's only sort of hints of that within that model at the moment. Nothing definitive there. You want the green colours to be in over the country to really tell you that there's a trough there. But I think reading between the lines, there probably is a trough within the 500 millibar flow. We're going through to the end of June at very important events taking place then, of course, with Glastonbury and Wimbledon. So the weather is always more impactful as we get through to the second half of June. And if it's going to turn unsettled, of course, that will be that would have implications for those events. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. We're doing a more in-depth look for June tomorrow, of course, with JMA Friday. So do come back for that if you want to know what could be happening through the rest of June. But for the coming week, I think we have got good agreement on the high pressure building. And we start next week unsettled, then the high pressure builds in and warms things up, settles things down. Could see temperatures, let's say we're going to get temperatures up to around the mid-20s in the south by the end of next week, so up towards the upper 70s Fahrenheit. I wouldn't want to go any further than that in terms of the temperatures at this stage, but there is the potential for a couple of days around Friday and Saturday to turn things really warm, possibly even hot, and very quickly breaking down into thunderstorms. So it's all getting very, very interesting. Do keep checking back for more updates. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.